Welcome to Life Heal, the future of holistic practice. So this podcast series is for holistic and complementary therapists and health coaches who are ready to evolve with the changing world of health and well-being. It is for you if you are out there trying to live your dream job and your dream purpose and are feeling that a bit disillusioned and a bit lost, and feeling that perhaps whatever you've trained in and the stuff that you're doing out there is a little bit out of date, or that you are not quite hitting the mark and it's not the idyllic life that you hoped it would be. Perhaps you feel that you're not reaching people, you don't know how to reach people. Perhaps you've got your own treatment room and you're sitting there day after day and there's no clients coming in. This podcast is for you if that is the case. So I'm Sam, integrative health coach, therapist and co-founder of Life Heal, and this series explores how integrative health, lifestyle medicine, social prescribing, digital health and multi-modality therapies are redefining what it means for holistic care and complementary therapies. Each episode is going to blend grounded insight, real-world strategies which can help you align with your own purpose and really find your position in modern healthcare and how you fit with this new healthcare that's coming in. And we're looking forward to spending time with you. If you're ready to dive in and explore the future of holistic practice, then hopefully we can keep you inspired, informed and aligned as the landscape of health continues to evolve. Welcome to our podcast. This is our first episode in this series, and this is why you're feeling stuck and why it's not your fault. So just before we get into it, I just want to just explain a little bit about who we are and why we're doing this particular podcast series, and hopefully how it can help you in your life and in your practice. So I'm Sam, and I am one half of Life Heal. My partner is Erica. I have been in the industry for over 20 years. I used to own 5 award-winning clinics in Scotland and had lots of staff. We were known as Scotland's leading out-of-town salons, and we stocked Espal. All our staff were very highly trained, and we really enjoyed that side of the business. I met Erica because I was looking for someone to help me build that business from one salon into what it became, and she, through lots of different synchronicities, she came on board. She had her own marketing business, and we just gelled, and she got my vision. I loved the way she worked, and we just ended up creating the whole thing together and really had a lot of fun doing it. And then we became best friends, and then we are sort of 12 years in now. We got married last year. It's been a very spiritual journey. If you're into all that, then we've got other podcasts about our own personal journey and Life Heal and what Life Heal actually is. But for this series, it is targeted at therapists and holistic healers, if you like. And I decided to do this because I've been teaching therapies for a long time, and Erica and I do lots of different courses. She has a psychology degree and I've got a degree in integrative health. So she deals with the sort of mind stuff and I deal with the body, and it really just works really, really well. And we've got a lovely online community if you want to join us. We've got a private group which is called Life Heal Lifestyle. We are also on Facebook as Life Heal or on Instagram as Life Heal Journey. So feel free to follow us. We're always up to something. We're always sharing usually what nonsense we're up to or what we're eating or where we're going. So you're more than happy to have you here. Really, really chuffed that you found your way here and connect with us. And we love speaking to people and connecting with people from all over the world. So this series was born because, as I said, we've both been teaching for a long time, but I in particular teach holistic therapies such as Reiki, massage, facials, Indian head, sound therapy. Erica teaches life coaching, and we've got a spiritual diploma, which is a 48-week affair. And last year we put together an integrative health diploma where people came, and real career changers, if you like, and came and learnt in a very short space of time, but had to do online theory as well, but actually learn in Glastonbury, which is where we are based at the moment, which we're loving. And they came and learnt all these modalities, and these girls, because it was girls at the time, have gone off and set up their own businesses, changed their businesses, really living a purpose-led business and life, which is really, really amazing to see. Our community come to us all the time, and for me, they come to me and ask me for holistic therapy tips. Perhaps they've come to us for coaching, or to Erica for coaching, or a physical treatment with me, and then as part of their journey, we have discovered, or uncovered, I should say, that they are healers, and that their passion really is not to work in a bank or Tesco or whatever, and it's not just to do the daily grind and pay bills, that they have got massive purpose and that they want to go out and help people. So then they start training, perhaps it's reflexology, it could be any modality really, and they invest a lot, and then they start to set up their business, and it's very difficult out there just now. So I get asked all the time, lots of tips and tricks on how to do Facebook page, how can I get more out of my client, consultations. So what I thought I'd do is just put it in a podcast, in a series of podcasts that are easy for people to follow, and hopefully a lot of the questions that I get asked are on here. If they're not relevant to you, that's great. If they are, feel free to comment, or feel free to ask me anything. I'm happy to do a podcast. This podcast is recorded, as all our podcasts are, on my phone. There's nothing fancy, it's very raw. You may hear background noise. This is not meant to be a big polished fancy affair. It's just supposed to reach the people that the universe wants it to reach. So, episode 1, why are you feeling stuck? And why it's not your fault. So if you are trained in something that you're really good at, reflexology, massage, you've got your room, you've got your products, you've got your insurance, you've got your Facebook page set up, you've got a few clients, the clients seem to really like it, but you're not growing, or you don't feel that you're reaching as many people as you want to. You feel that perhaps the market is completely saturated, everybody's doing reflexology, or that actually, is there something else I should be doing, because I'm really, really confident and competent at what I do, but I'm just not feeling as fulfilled as I thought I would. If that sounds like you, then I'm going to be explaining, particularly today, but over the course of these podcasts, is how you can alleviate that pain, if you like. And because it is painful, if you've gone to all the bother to career change, or, invest time and money into your future, purely so that you can help people, and then it's not aligning, there's blocks in the way, then I want you to know that it's not actually your fault. You're not actually doing anything wrong. And I'm going to explain why. So the first part is that the age-old single-modality model, it no longer fits a modern client. And what I mean by that is, when I had the salons and we had spa, and spa is known worldwide. When you go to spas, it's usually spa that's in there. They're in the 5-star, 7-star hotels. The training, they employ the best trainers. It's exceptionally good training. It used to be that if you went to Gleneagles or the Burj in Dubai, versus if you go to somewhere else in London and they stock spa, if you go for a treatment there, it should be exactly the same steps and the same treatment. Only difference should be the surroundings and the therapist. Now that's clearly very difficult to police, if you like, but they seem to pull it off. And it was incredible training for our girls, but also Erica and I did the training and we absolutely loved it. But what we started to realise was that people would come in And some of these facials and massages had 60, 70 steps in it. And they were amazing. Great rituals, journeys, products were exceptional. The whole experience, every single detail was coutured, it was thought about, and it was just incredible. But the therapist is boring for the therapist. If you think about it, you're using your rote memory to perform a series of moves, if you like, and sell products at the end. That's basically what you're doing. And what we found was probably about 8 years ago, it started to change. Erica and I are definitely early adopters, where we find that we sort of manage to look in advance. We can feel in advance when the terrain is changing in most things that we do. So and that was quite helpful for this. So I got a few signs, as did she, but I got a few signs particularly. The first one that really stood out to me was a client that came in, and she was terminally ill. She told us that she had 3 weeks to live and she wanted to have her nails done. So we did. That was absolutely fine. We tried to make her as comfortable and as a beautiful experience as we possibly could. But then she said I'd like a massage, and at that point the girls were like, well, sorry, we're not allowed to, we're not insured. And she was like, no disrespect, but I'm kind of on the way out anyway. And we weren't allowed to do it, which is fair enough. We weren't insured, and the girls weren't trained in cancer treatments at all at that point. So that was the first sign, and I thought this industry is about, particularly at that point, HD brows, nail colour, lipstick colour, fake tan. And I was like, who's healing? Who's doing preventative healing and who's doing post-treatment? Perhaps people have had chemotherapy or radiotherapy and then they get spat out of the system and then there's no one there to support them. So that was the first thing. And about 2 weeks later, Eric and I's life's very synchronistic all the time, and this was a series of synchronicities. And the next thing that happened was I went in to work, and one of our girls was off sick. So I had to jump in and do her facial, and that was fine. I set up for it, and the lady came in, she got in the bed, and she burst out crying. Her mother had died the night before, and bless her, I think she was just on autopilot. She decided just to come anyway. So I didn't do the treatment. And I just sat and held her hand and talked to her and listened to her and let her cry. And at the end, I was like, oh, we need to do something. I'll do a little gentle massage. So I didn't do the thing she'd paid for on the treatment menu. Cardinal sin in the world of spas. But I thought, wow, I knew fine well that the therapist who was off sick would have ignored what was going on and just done the treatment. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's absolutely fine because she's being paid to do that by me and was instructed to do that. But also the industry expect that. And that was a real epiphany for me. I was just like, okay, there's something else going on here. The power of not just delivering what I'm trained to do, not always delivering what the client has picked on the treatment menu as well, because generally people don't know what they want. That's why back massages and full body massages are usually the sort of the main part of what spas and salons will sell. Because, you know, you can have a massive treatment list with every single fancy red light this and oxygen and all these things. People don't know they need that. They haven't a clue. So that was definitely a pivotal turning point. And what happened then was Erica and I started to change things. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 36, and I found it very difficult to just do one thing. And I kept finding that my hands were just going off and doing whatever they wanted. And I was getting increasingly frustrated as a therapist. I found it quite boring. I found that my staff, who had trained for 4 years to HND, which is actually second year university, these girls are really well trained. They need to know their anatomy and physiology. They need to know what they're talking about. Yet they come out of their college. Some of them did have complementary therapy degrees. But they come out and they're put into this almost factory setting and they're not getting to use their skills. So if someone says, oh, well, I've got this wrong with this foot and I've got this issue with my right shoulder, I've got skin issues, I'm not sleeping, I feel dehydrated, I'm crippling anxiety. I mean, there's quite a lot that people tell you in a consultation form. And I'm sure as you're listening to me, you're like, yeah, I get told that all the time. And the point is that the industry at that point, and actually still now, because this is why I'm doing this podcast, ignores all that. So if your client is telling you, I'm not sleeping, I wake up at 2, 3 in the morning, my right ankle's sore, I've got tummy issues, I've got a sore shoulder, I can't function because I don't want to, I get nervous going to social things, never used to, but I do now, my periods are terrible, or I've got backache. There's a whole load of things that they could tell you. Why on earth would we just go, right, you've just got on the bed and I'm just going to do your back first and then I'm going to turn, why would you ignore all that? Now, the point is that this is why you're feeling stuck. You're feeling stuck because you are trained to do more than the industry allows us to do. It's almost like this social construct that you're not allowed to step outside of the remit of what everybody does because, oh, you don't do that. I've spoken to people that have been trained in reflexology as high level as you can be trained and will not social prescribe. And when I say social prescribe, at the end of the treatment, you're telling people, would you go for a walk? Would you consider having some water? Would you consider maybe some lemon water? How about you, would you try maybe joining a club? Blah, blah, blah. That's social prescribing. So you'll hear me talking about that quite a lot. So these people are, as I say, 25 years in the industry. You don't get much more trained. NHS nurses and social prescribers are referring to these people, and yet they still don't have the confidence. They've got the knowledge, but they don't have the confidence to deliver that information. And my question to you, and my question to them, is if you're not going to do it and you've got the knowledge, who is going to do it? Because the GPs and the NHS do not have the time, and they do not perhaps have the same knowledge that we've got. They do a different job, and this is the issue, and this is what integrative health is. It's about melding the conventional and the complementary together, not expecting our GPs to do everything for us, taking responsibility for our own health. And your job as a therapist, a healer and a coach is to assist people and guide them through that process. That is not the job of the GP. They're far too busy. They've got their own things to do, and I always say when I'm training people, if my arm's hanging off, I'm not going for Reiki. I'm going straight down to anatomy and physiology. I'm going straight down to A&E to get it fixed. But once it's fixed and it's healed, and I know I've got trauma in my arm and my fascia is restricted because I've had a fall, I've broken my arm, I'm not going to keep going back to the GP to get medicine. I'm going to go to a fascia expert who's going to say, yeah, you had that fall, the NHS sorted it for you, they were all fantastic, we're going to do the aftercare. And also preventative. So this is where you can really step in, and over the course of these episodes, I'm going to really be explaining different ways that you can do that, and hopefully give you inspiration on things that you learn. And I'm sure if you're anything like me, you're constantly trying to learn about health and tips and tricks and different oils and different herbs or foods or movements that you can do, the meridians, all these things. Like, I'm sure you've got a wealth of knowledge in there. Or perhaps you have, but you've just given up. And if that's the case, I really am here to say that don't forget why you came into this industry. You're here because, same with nurses and carers, I always say this, you start off, if you think about that moment where you think, oh, there's just so much more to life. What do you want to do? I want to help people. I'm comfortable with my hands on people. I want to get my hands on people, or I want to work with their mind like Erica does. I want to coach people. My passion at the moment is putting together everything I've learned and health coaching, which is basically unpicking the root cause of people's health issues and building it back up using mixed modalities. So back to what I was saying, the age-old single modality model no longer fits the modern client. So that goes for whatever you're offering. If you only offer one modality, so say you only do reflexology, then you should perhaps consider adding in more things to your toolkit. Because when that client is on the bed and they're saying they've got a sore shoulder, but you only do reflexology and you can maybe give it a bash on their feet and that's great, wouldn't it be great to say, can I treat them emotionally, physically, spiritually? Can I treat all their energy bodies with different tools that I've learned? Can I give them aftercare? Can I social prescribe after the treatment? Have I got the time to then check in with them after their treatment? Because I know GPs and nurses don't, but I could do that. I've got space to do that, and that's going to offer my community a really amazing service where I'm that go-to person. I'm that coach, that therapist coach or health coach or integrative health or life coach, whatever you want to call yourself, but you are the person that people go to when things are getting real for them. Perhaps they're in the system, in the healthcare system, and they're going through chemo or they're going through whatever, but also at the end or at the beginning. And if you date back, part of my degree talked about the history of health. And I went all the way back to the Roman times where there was lots of different types of health people. You didn't just go to the physicians, you went to the preventative people. So your sort of your magi's and your witches, but then you also would go to the people after you had your illness, who would look after you and think, well, okay, you're in remission, but how do we stop this happening again? This is where lifestyle medicine's coming in. And you guys and us are at the forefront of that because it's changing, and it's changing because it needs to change. We don't need to we're not on here to bash the NHS. I'm all for the NHS. I think it's a great system. It's about as good as it gets. Anybody that's travelled in other countries will appreciate what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm sure there's issues with anything. It's a giant, giant system. But there's people in there, and Erica's best friend is one of them, who's in there working her arse off, trying to make a change, and is actually making changes, and it's super, super inspiring. So we're not here to diss them, we are here to say, how can we support you? But we're not coming in, we're not going into the hospitals, we're not going to go in and try and change things. We're going to stay out here, because there's enough people in there. There's nobody out here, but we're all here. And we're all registered and insured and well-trained as well. So if we just know where our niche is, and then we know what we're good at, and we know what we're not good at, then we're going to be able to really assist with this sort of health issue and healthcare issue, really. And on top of that, this new type of healthcare is called Era 3. We're stepping into a time where, as I just said, NHS and any other country, actually, the healthcare systems are oversaturated. We're dead lucky here that the NHS don't charge us, because that causes another issue if everything is charged for, like in America or Canada. So Era 3 healthcare is a system where connection, prevention and integration are key. So we're integrating ancient knowledge with conventional knowledge, with science, with evidence-based practice, with holistic knowledge. The whole lot gets chucked in a pot, mixed up, and here we have Era 3 healthcare. This is where community hospitals are opening up, but also healthcare centres where we've got integrative health, where there's a massage therapist, there's mistletoe therapy, there's reflexology, there's an aromatherapist, there's a life coach, there's a psychologist, and you go in and you have a consultation, an in-depth 90-minute, possibly more, consultation with tests and feedback and biofeedback with a health coach. The health coach then farms you out to whoever they feel you need. And we don't just pile you full of medicine, which is what's happening at the GPs, because that's all they can do. This is Era 3. This is what is going to be happening. And obviously, as you can see, I don't know what you're trained in, but do feel free to let us know. There's a space for you there. So what we're talking about here is you're not behind the curve. You're not obsolete. You're not out of date. You've not made the wrong decision. You've made the right decision. We're just slightly ahead of our time, but you're also evolving. So stick with it, and hopefully we'll catch up with you over the episodes, and I'm really excited to connect with you all, and really excited to share with you how you can change what you're currently doing to be more in line, more useful, and more fulfilling for you. Hopefully you make a little bit more money. I appreciate that this is not a well-paid industry, but as I always say, sadly, we have to eat, otherwise we do everything for nothing. But there has to be an energy exchange, but hopefully a more fulfilling life, because if we don't have to worry about funds, then there's more money in the pot, which means you can buy better products, you can do more continued professional development courses, and you can just continue to grow your practice. But if the money is tight and that's not flowing, then that makes it difficult, and we're kind of stuck because we're too busy worried about how am I going to get the next client, and how am I going to do this, and how am I going to do that. So I am excited, as I say, to catch up with you. Please let me know your comments below, and I'd love to hear what stage you're at, and if this resonates, even if just a little bit of it resonates, or you know somebody that is in that situation where they're feeling stuck and regretting their life decision of perhaps becoming a complementary therapist or a healer. I'm really here to say, please don't give up. Please stick with it. At least give it to the end of these episodes. And if you still feel like that, then fair enough. But yeah, the takeaway for here is awareness is the first shift. So once you see the system, you can start to work with it, not against it. And I hope that all makes sense. And thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode. Just a quick one before we go. If you have enjoyed this podcast, you'd like to connect with Erica and myself and be part of our community, Life Heal. We're on Instagram and on Facebook as the Life Heal Journey. We've also got a website where you can find lots of free resources, blog posts and things like that. You're more than welcome to look us up. It's www.lifehealjourney.com. We have a Facebook group with over 1,000 people in it and beautiful souls, and you're welcome to come in and have a look around and chat to people. That is Life Heal Lifestyle. And then finally, if you want to deep dive a bit more thoroughly, then we have lifehealuniversity.com, and that is our online platform, and it's a subscription platform. It's £27 a month, and you get lots of different courses, meditations, there's a book club, and it's just a little bit more serious than the Facebook group. So you're welcome to reach out to us in any way you like. There is a contact section on our website, so if you've got any questions, we love to connect with people. So feel free to message us, give us a shout with your story, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.